Hello and welcome. Today's date comes in that of Wednesday, 18th day of March 2020. My name is Derek and this is the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades of the like, that's within each his own risk and their own reward. Looking at really the main markets, the stock market, I don't really want to cover too much with that, although I'm going to open up with it after it opened up with a huge decline, or it does it all the time. It's okay. So we closed yesterday's session 21,200 change, and we opened today barely under, piercing below 20,000. Now a little above at 20,180, and on the 1 minute time frame, only 23 minutes after the close. This is the later live. This is live, 9:53 a.m. We got a double bottom. Will it break neckline and go up big? Heck, maybe. And it's not a big move to go up to 2008. That would be a large move on the double bottom pattern, as I would expect it to go to like 20,006. But this is wild volatility, big downtrend. The only attempts on the single hour for the Dow Jones to get reverse it or to stop it at least. Getting above the 18 average of highs, using that as the only indicator. Once there, didn't succeed, as we see weakness at the 18 average of lows in there, and this doesn't even count because it gets to the highs. That doesn't. This barely gets above it, and then you show weakness on the 18 lows. Then we get above it here, and gap below it. So that's the whole thing. You close. That's the whole thing. When I talk about these gap openings, all that type of stuff. Oh yeah, here we go. You gap well above it, then you gap well below. It's just crazy. Meanwhile, on the daily, it has been nothing but a straight large decline right now. The 18 average of lows coming in at 22,800, we'll say. So it's way up here. It's gonna, I mean, a rally to get to that point would be over 10%, and it still would only get to the lows to get to the 18 average of highs. I mean, that's just how deep this sell-off has been, and it's been like this with a lot of these markets. It's in at 24,000. It would need to rally 20%. And just to get to this level, it has been a sheer large, big decline. How much further this is going to go down, to me, I'm just going to say is anyone's guess, because I don't know. But what is almost a guarantee is that within this volatility, there's going to be some very large, sharp rally moves that are going to come from it. How large of a rally and from what point that rally comes from is where the question lies. It has had a large move on the monthly chart after a good one, meaning standard like this, all these others coming down the lows. That's my definition on good. The previous month, and of course fundamental news supplies or can state that this is no surprise this month is as bad as it is, but last month down 10%, which is nothing compared to this month, 20%. Will this month be nothing compared to following, or will this be nothing compared to what the other month will become? Thus barely past the halfway point of this. Previous support has yet to been tested, but getting closer to 18,000, and the big one would range anyway is from the 14,000 to like the 10,000 area down in here. And not who knows how fast it's going to go, how low it's going to go in this situation. Like I said, I want to spend very little time on this because I got gold, silver, cryptocurrencies as well. So let's go up next to gold. It's in at 1508, and on the monthly chart, it's got its rising 18, but it obviously has been in a down and a sideways trend from these highs, whereas the stock market, of course, has been in an uptrend. And during this time frame here, from this low to this high, and I can easily put up the ratio because I got the availability to do it on the gold to Dow, but this was during the primary of this is a primary uptrend for gold, where stocks were. Well, for this year, it was down, sideways, getting its gains back. So basically from 2000 to like 2000 and like, I don't know, 13 or 14, the Dow Jones pretty much stayed sideways. Anyway, back to this. We had the resistance from the 1669, and on the monthly chart, now back to this level of support at 1522. That represents a 61.8% Fibonacci exponential retracement from this high and this low, and why you wouldn't calculate it exponentially using it in a linear scale when markets do not move in linear form. Well, that's exactly the reason why I wonder, because they don't move in linear form. Big volatility here on the daily chart. It's doing a lot of resisting amongst this key level at 1522. And of course, if this level doesn't hold, we'll be looking for 1321 to be its next level of key support. If we do, when we rally from here for that matter, there's going to be a lot of sharp moves in this, just like I mentioned within the Dow. But when it does and at what point, it looks to me like we might not have a good like $200 days, and those are going to be coming until we at least come down to this 1300 level. Maybe. It does seem as if the weakness that I'm seeing on here is becoming more and more probable for that to be the case. But in the meantime, we've already established big resistance at 1522. And we've even have this one in here right around 1545 that goes up to 1550. And a little above that. So if getting a nice clear break above this, like around 1561, I'm looking for this to go up to this 1670 pretty fast or pretty concisely. If I can see this hold support roughly around 1516 and resist in this area for a significant amount of time, several hours, even for a good part of the day, which is pretty much the same thing, then that's a good setup showing that would be that case. But we have resisted this, and we have not yet had any big rallies with the conditions, of course, with the global. Either way, either a big move is what I'm expecting. That's what it comes down to. Whether the big move will end up, the next one will be up or down, which basically means, do we go to the next fib up or next fib down? I don't know. Now let's move on to silver, which is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is red candle down 9 in a row if it holds. And being 10 o'clock, that is an if. Even though it's down right now 3.2% with the volatility, I don't think there's anywhere near an 85-90% chance of a down day. Or guarantee, or pretty much a guarantee, because who knows how the intraday rallies can spark. And this thing can go up $1 at any given time, but it can go down another $1 and a half at any one key leg moment. And I use that for like the short-term analysis. This is a situation here on the single hour. It has had really no any type of significant rally since leaving what has been a very major historic level around the $16, $17, $18 handle. We had a little bit of consolidating here at 15, a little bit here at 14. Now, since we hit this low earlier on at the start of the week at under $12 an ounce, well, we got clear support and clear lower high resistance. And the long term on this shows that we are at levels not seen since April of 2009. Which is an 11-year low. Not that much later, but we would be entering what would be closer to almost 12 years, and that's just a few months more, of course, $8 and change. And if we go below $8.46, we'd be talking about going to levels last seen since 2006. And how could they sustain, or how long would they sustain to those points? Well, the silver volume is getting pretty big, and it's really disencouraging for me wanting to buy silver, even though I think I found a loophole. Whether it worked or not, I don't know. Due to unprecedented order volumes, please expect a shipping delay of 20 plus business days. We appreciate your understanding. These are going to be Canadian prices, and there we can see the prices down at the bottom. Silver $17.61 on the Canadian side. But when you read this, you're going to see like new bars available now in stock and shipping. So not everything is going to take a month. This again, silvergoldbull.ca. This is where I've pretty much been buying all my silver for the better part of a good decade now. But for pretty much the entire 10 years almost. And it says there's 75,000 satisfied customers. I guess I'd be one of them as well. Although I don't know if I ever technically said I was. Maybe I did. Because there's been a few like response media things that or surveys, whatever, forums that I've filled with them. Anyway, getting back to the point of what I want to talk about. So we got silver on here, like a Canadian maple leaf as low as $24. And you have to buy a lot to get it at 24, which is $6.31 over spot. Okay, let's do some easy math. We'll get the answer. The easy math is knowing how to calculate it. The answer is not what I'm saying is easy. So going 24, this is why subtracting this is easy. 24 minus 18 is 6. Okay, what's the differential from this to the top of the dollar? 31 cents. Well, 6.31. Plus another 2 cents, 6.33. So if I go 6.33 and I divide by the price of silver at 17.69, that tells me that the cheapest spot price I'm getting is 35.7%. over spot. And I'm going to have to wait a darn near a long time to get it, probably, given that it's a Canadian maple. Let's just take a look at some of the other ones. Top picks. And this is where it gets very, very... Because I have not seen silver at this $17 price mechanism on the Canadian side for quite some time. And I'm used to those lower prices where I was buying this consistently over and over and over again. Well, several times, we'll say. And, well, what's going to happen here? And I'm not going to log in because I don't want to show my account number. But when I do log in and I click on this and I click on add with this, or not too sure, I didn't click on this one. No, I don't know what will come up on this one here, but definitely on the American one, it says it's going to be a wait of like April 15th to like April 30th before they can ship it to you. Do you want to go ahead and do it? And every time I've seen those in the past, I've always said no and don't buy it. If I click on this one here, top pick, 1 ounce sorted silver round, which I don't know if there's a delay because this is up at the top. There might be a delay. I'm not sure. Maybe you want to call them if you're considering what I'm thinking about. I've been thinking about buying, but I'm not, so I'm not going to call them. And that is, if I were to buy this, would shipping be normal? But when you look at the prices, this isn't the price I was looking at before. This isn't too bad. Still, it's $5 over spot. But you know, it really isn't that great. Because I remember how cool it used to be way back when, which is last year before that, to be able to buy these things here for under $25, because that's always been that key number. I started, my first maple was 25, and it always worked out that was pretty much around the going price more times than not, as it was. And here I see it above that price, and be able to get it like $24 is the amount of times that I did. I guess you can say it's $24.75, but the amount of times to get it for even lower than that. And now we got silver at these lower prices. So the premiums, of course, are going big. But yeah, when you click on like this or the eagle, you're going to get like, do you want the delay? I didn't get that when I clicked on this, or if I clicked on the 10 ounce mint bar here, probably a lot of these coins, you're not going to do it. The discount wasn't as good as I saw before. There's almost a full $1 discount the last time I did this 3 days ago. Now the discount here is like... 30, that's 29 plus 2 is 32 cents. And that's not much. It's still better than, always better to get a bit cheaper than you normally pay anyway. If you're satisfied paying $22.59 Canadian for one. Of course, now that's for 10 on a minimum now, which is, used to be 20, I think, on the minimum. Either way. And then the maples is going to be 25 minimum because of the fact that if you buy that, you're basically buying a roll. There's 25 maples in a roll, and there's 20 eagles in a roll. Anyway, enough of this. Silver Gold Bull is in no means advertising. In fact, they're the only ones, again, that I've been dealing with before. I'm just going over their webpage, mainly to talk about the premiums being as large as they are, and how... just a possible trick in getting your silver really quick is just, as long as you don't mind not getting eagles or maples, getting other silver that could actually get delivered to you soon if that's what you're looking for. On the Canadian side, again, we're seeing prices at the lowest point since like 2014. Again, this is back in the day when this thing was like here to here. And these prices, I gotta presume this is when I was buying eagles at like 20, or maples at like $23 or $24. I haven't bought many, but that probably would when it would have been. And maybe it was down in here when I was buying them at 23. But the prices are obviously higher than in the bullion market. A disconnect is occurring, and well, obviously, people who have fiat currency and even cryptocurrencies to be able to turn it in to precious metals, well, they can be able to do so, and some of them are obviously doing that. And there's a good reason for that, because I do got to move into the unfortunate cases that is going on in play. So I'll talk about that now. And this is worldometers.info. worldometers.info. Worldmeters.info, which has information regarding the pandemic that is going on. That is, it's going to be a major factor now to the business cycles going on. It's also going to be probably the quote unquote the excuse for everything on the economic model pretty much falling apart, and thus the lead to the great inflationary cycle. This chart is very simple in calculation and very simple in reading, I would presume, and that is the growth factor of fatalities amongst the current crises, which is closing in, but not quite on 5 figures. The Spanish flu of almost a little over, rather 100 years ago, was estimated to be, on my monkey brain without having to do a Google search is trying to come into play. I think it was 100 million-ish. So we're a long ways away. But this is the amount of fatalities divided by yesterday. So one day divided by the next. So just a very, very simple calculation on that. Meaning, if there's more more in days, then this is going to happen, where you're seeing support at the 1. And when the pandemic is in a positive sign for what we're looking for, or decline in this, then you'd see resistance at the 1. But that's not occurring. As we can take a look at stats for how many there has been on a day-to-day basis, it is only escalating right now. The overall number compared to 1918 and 19 is very slow, especially if you inflate population, which back then was 2 billion people, or about 25% of what it is today. And there's again another chart of the linear sum, logarithmic. I don't think there's any purpose to put that in a log scale. And then the base number. Again, this is worldometers.info. Now let's go to the gold to silver ratio next, as I'll get past the stats I really don't like to cover, but I feel like I unfortunately have no choice. But to give information to people who want that web page, now you have it. 124 is the approximate gold to silver ratio right now. And I'm going to do the gold to stock market ratio after this as well. It's at an all-time high. It has never, ever been this high before. And I talked long ago about it going to 150. I didn't think it was going to be in this fashion. I really didn't think it would. And if we go down to $8, $6 silver, are we going to go, or whatever it takes to get to 150 in this mechanism? Will that be the case? But the volatility in this, we can see a lot of it occurring right down here on March the 16th, start of this week. Ratio goes from 105 with a fast jump to, well, where we are now at 123. Resistance again here, resist again. But just recently, just a couple of hours ago, this thing reaching again new all-time highs, establishing a new resistance on the ratio, now attempting to support what it established in here, which is what was resistance. Resistance was between 124 down to, and this is a little difficult, but I'm going to deem it, at least at this level here, 121. And considering the 18 average of lows is in that area, if this holds the 18 average of lows, the low 120s, then that would be just holding its move that of course, it had just a little while ago. There's a lot to this when we take a look at this on a long-term time frame. Just a large parabolic up move, very large white candle up, and then this one here, barely up, but still a low volatile pause the move, and then another big move up, but an extreme one on this one, up 18% in its value against such. And on the monthly chart, the previous all-time high for the ratio was somewhere up here, about 103. And so whatever numbers you could say it might have been, it was 107 at one point, but then, okay, well, it's 123.5 now. The lowest figure I got here is 60.5 from 1980, which is the historic rate. And that's unsustainable, I think, for it to stay at these levels on the long term. But on the short term, how long can we be in here? How much higher can it go? As I mentioned, Is 150 a realistic possibility? And then after that, could it go 160, 170, 180, 2 million? No, can't go there. But I'm just saying that maybe you could use methods to try to figure that out. We're in really, really weird, interesting times. I suppose, I mean, this is going to be a big number. I can use Fibonacci to calculate such. We got a high of 103, and we got a low of 16.5. So first thing I want to do is calculate where the 38.2% number is. So that would be 33. So that'd be 210 based on that. I mean, whether that'll work or not, the way it's going, it wouldn't surprise me, I would suppose. And if it did anything sharp of that nature, it would be something that I think would be there quick, fast, and will come back, not only to, I think, where it would come from, but well back into these areas in here. And I still believe that not, on a conservative level, I think hitting 16 is just that, conservative, considering I think it's going to go much lower than that. But we got these times right now to go through. After we get through this pandemic, whether it takes weeks, which it probably won't, months, more realistic. When I say years, I'd rather use months because, I don't think it's going to be more than a year and a half. So I'd rather use the term months. And that's, I think, going a long term. I'm hoping that come summertime, that things are a lot more resolved and we got everyday Major League Baseball going on and stuff like that's happening. But, there's no guarantees on it. And at some point, it's going to have to end. And like I say, that's going to cause a lot of problems on that point, on the whole, reason why the financial system is falling, the reason why all the prices are so bad is because, we had to try to save everything through this 2020 pandemic. Virus number 19, we'll call it. Or whatever 19 stands for. And I don't know what it stands for. I just heard it out of the blue a few weeks ago, and that's just as it is for me. So it's all going to come out and play through, and then you're going to see just the next stage of the market with, I think, gold and silver prices going up a lot higher, but silver at monster levels, like amazing levels. I think it's an amazing time. If you're not into the market, if you're looking to be like, oh my goodness, I'm just learning about fiat currency now, and there's a good reason why it could be happening. I mean, considering it a gift, even with these high premiums, the fact that you can buy it at these prices right now as it is, I consider that a gift. Now let's move this over to the Dow Jones, priced in gold. As we have a high here of 9.68 back in the after the mid 70s. 1980, this thing goes. We had a 1.01. Let me just see what the. I'd be curious to see what this looks like on the daily chart, if it looks even anything, whatever. But on here, the lowest stamp I got is 0.99. 0.99, and the highest one on here. This is how I look at it. I can tell it's this one here. It's 144.56. So a little more than 144.5 times increase from this low to this high. We'll say that. Comes down to that of 5.6, and this was from when? Okay, this was during the time when gold was going up, and that of stocks, they were going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then up again. So sideways. And then from this point in here, we had stocks going up, and basically gold doing the same thing, down, sideways, and basically now attempting to go back up, which is the reason why this is going on now, escalated with the Dow Jones having a larger downward movement over the last little while. And on the daily chart, the Dow Jones getting its ass kicked against gold as well. Just continuous. And I'm just very curious if they even let me give me data back to 1980. So I'm just going to scroll this back to all these days back. It's going to take not that long, I suppose, if they even give it 98, if they give it to us, that is. I think they will. It's just going to look terrible. The daily ticks. That's what I'm going to guess. But I'm getting pretty okay data so far. So this is what it looked like in 1980. I mean, as far as all these gaps, I guess that's not different than what it is today, I suppose. But on the date of January the 21st, I'm supposing that's a Monday because you can see there's a 2-day non-move here. So on Monday, January the 21st, 1980, this thing gapped open at like, well, I guess the numbers on the open 0.99, close 105. So there's I don't see the low on here. Let me just. Anyway, let's move on. Now let's move it over to Bitcoin and gold. And this is Bitcoin's price in gold, not gold's price in Bitcoin. And it's going to be Bitcoin that is going to be controlling the market for this. We can see here how this has been in an uptrend for its entirety, which means Bitcoin has overperformed that of gold. It's a no-brainer that we have big support here now because that's what it came down to. And resistance has yet to been taken out or defeated. And not one way of putting it. You can go like this. You can draw a line. And I'm trying to click a straight line. I always click this button just once, and it does that to me. If I push it once, it doesn't care. If I push it twice, then it will. It's probably my wireless mouse. But as you can see, it's these highs it's got to get over, and it isn't. So Bitcoin is losing its value on gold, but let's just go through the reasons why. During this up move, what did Bitcoin do against the dollar? It kicked ass. And then, of course, Bitcoin did pretty much this exact same pattern against that, went down, had this little thing, broke. This is when it did a lot at the 6,000 level. And then it's moved down to the bottom. This was 3,000. And then we had the rally. This rally, of course, is what it does. And then it's all the same thing. There's probably going to come a time when gold goes so wild that it's going to control this ratio, but time will only tell. And this is Bitcoin itself, so you can see it pretty much looks in around the same thing. Resistance on here. Still we haven't defeated it yet. And as far as any of the support in here, any of this trend line we go up here has definitely been taken out. I considered 77 to be the must-hold area, and well, 7,700 is a long, long ago. As it would have been, of course, this inverted head and shoulders pattern had it, of course, found support in around here. I talked about the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. You didn't find support where you're supposed to. Didn't find it, and why this keeps on moving up like this when I do the drawing. I go like this, you can see how it just keeps on rising. I don't know why it does that. But anyway, as it goes, the market has been in a steep downtrend on the daily. It's going to be a long, long ways yet before it's going to be able to say that this thing is ready to be going a bull market. These things can take a long time to heal. And short term, when you see the daily like this, you just got to know the 8-hour, all the shorter ones, the best is what you're going to be getting is, okay, we got a flattening out here, and you have to get really short term to have any type of good bullish activity, if any. We can see on the 3-hour this is going up that maybe there might be, but the best on the intermediate short term, whatever you want to call it, is that it has neutralized its situation with established support at 44.80, but even as low as 3,800. So this range in here of big volatility, we've established a lot of resistance here at basically 6K. And then short term here at around 55. It's, like I say, it's a little bit to heal. I mean, I can't say it should take a long time to heal. These things can go wild. But if it can get above 59, I'd be looking for a move that could be relatively interesting. But it's going to be wild movements either way. The fundamental news will be most likely affecting this in serious levels as well. But when you look at cryptocurrencies, what are people going to want to do? They're going to have cryptocurrencies. They're going to need to use as money that's going to be forced to selling. They're going to sell it for that purpose alone. And then you're going to people that aren't going to believe cryptocurrencies anymore because they think the world's over. And then there are going to be people that will believe cryptocurrencies for that exact same reason. So it's a tough call for me to predict how accurate it will be for cryptos moving forward. Again, I used that analysis of putting 3 different assets in a safe. Private keys of the Bitcoin, whichever cryptos you choose, funded cryptos that will definitely have those values in the time frame of, say, 5 years or whatever I allocate. Okay, then you put your gold and silver bullion in one safe, and then you put your paper rectangle $20 and $100 notes in whichever stacks that you get. I like to call them casino dollars because that's where I usually pick them up at. I guess most people get them at the bank, but we pick up all of those little nice $100 notes, and on some days I get a lot of them, and that was really fun on those points. And then I used to stick those in the safe, and then came a time back in the previous decade where or the decade before, where I would execute them out and turn them into silver. And well, now we got private keys as well. So, good thing I don't have a choice of putting just one in there. And I could put all 3. And to finish it off, let's just choose one alt. The altcoin will be that of Dash. And these Fibonacci lines just happen to have worked again. It's luck. The 81 handle was support for 2 days here, at least on the Binance chart. On the Satoshi level, decent sized day, but when you consider where we had come from, we were way down here around Christmas time, and we were way, way, way up here on the middle of January. And even on the short term, it's had some interesting moves where market had a big, big rally just fast to this previous high, piercing above it. And then I know I only got so much data out here, and this even gets worse if we get the charts going back before then, but this is down quite a bit from these highs in here. This was a 56 handle. Now it's at 9 or 9 point. It's down like 6 times almost. And a lot of cryptocurrencies levels have been getting hit really, really hard. This game is either going to work or it's not. And within these alts, if Bitcoin works, whichever altcoins, will it work, will it not? Some will, some won't. And if they do work, there's going to be spectacular moves that's going to accompany a Bitcoin bull market. What's not going to happen is Bitcoin going to just keep going down and these coins just going to go up. If Bitcoin survives, and it's going to be needed to survive for these altcoins, then a lot of these ones I think will do just fine. And the buying opportunities is very large. Now, whether it'll win or not, I can't make any guarantees. I wish I could come out and say that I guarantee gold and silver will win. But it's the best quote-unquote guarantee I can make that it should at least hold its value very well. Decently satisfactory is another way of putting it. Meaning it's not going to destroy your value by holding it. Because you can own Bitcoin and you could have $1,000 worth, doesn't matter, $100,000 worth, 80% loss, 90%, 96% loss is just that. It's just going to, whether you have that and whichever number you have. And that's what could happen. But then you could have those Bitcoin, it could be worth like 10, 20, 50, 100 times more in that same time as well. And those $20 and $100 bills, will they even have great purchasing power? Okay. Will they even have any? That's a risk you take. I don't think you have any of that kind of risk with gold and silver inside of your precious metals, inside of your safes. So for me, having cryptocurrencies as well as paper rectangles, as well as precious metals and all that together, I think is a very smart decision. But we're at a time where not only do you need to have paper rectangles, you need to have those digital numbers, because some of it like, no cash here, we're only taking credit. It used to be at times be the opposite, cash only. Now like, I don't want, you're touching that. I mean, although, I guess suppose when you use those buttons, I guess they don't touch those computer buttons, so it's only each people that use it. So that's why having both your Visa / what we call in Canada debit cards, I don't know what they call them in the States, Interac, INT is Interac debit cards is what we call them. I think Interac is so 1980s and 90s, or not so 1990s. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.